struggled with popularity.
People have the chance to ask me about my faith. Perfection isn't something that we should be striving for.
I felt like I couldn't have a relationship with God.
In only 1 week, I'm going back to school as the high school senior. During my time in school, I've been able to share my faith with countless people and grow my relationship with God to a place that it's never been before. So today, I'm going to be sharing with you the 15 essential tips that you're going to need to know if you're a Christian student. These tips have taken me from struggling with friendships, my relationship with God, and schoolwork, to being able to talk to anyone, having a super close relationship with God, and feeling confident in school. And I know these pieces of advice are going to help you as well. Our 15 back-to-school tips can be divided into 3 categories. First, we have level 1, which is all about how we can bring God into school. Then we're moving on to level 2, where I'm going to be bringing in a mystery guest to talk about some Christian girl advice. So I'm so excited for that one. We've got level 3, which is all about the social aspects of school. So if you struggle with sharing your faith, we're going to talk about that. So let's start off with level 1, which is the academics. We're going to work hard. Colossians 3:23 says, "Work willingly at whatever you do, as though you were working for the Lord rather than people." Imagine how much cooler our lives would be if we used that verse in everything we do, and especially in school. Imagine going to school and doing it for Jesus. I think this year with this mindset, it's going to be so different than the years past, because I'm going to be really thinking, how can I do my work for God more? The next tip is to not strive for perfection. We all know those people, and I've been that person for most of my life, where they get their test back and they're like, I did so bad, I can't believe it, I got a 90. Striving for perfection has never helped anyone. It just causes burnout because you can't be perfect all the time. And you also don't have control over your teacher's opinion. The Bible doesn't say that we're meant to be perfect. God wants us to try our hardest. He wants us to work hard. So perfection isn't something that we should be striving for this school year. Instead, we should have some different goals. Before going into the school year, you should know what your goals are. Back in May, me and my friend, we looked at our vision boards. I have a 5-year vision board. Hers was around the same time. If you look at mine, you see I have things about public speaking because I want to be a speaker. I have YouTube on there. I have my siblings. I have family. I've got some Bible verses I want to live by. That's my dream life in 5 years. But then in hers, it's quite different because she has med school there. She's got like lots of stuff about becoming a doctor. Our goals in life are very different, but that also means our school goals are quite different. For example, for me, none of these things on my vision board require good marks in school. Not planning on going to university or anything, but it does require good social skills, good work ethic. So that's something that I'm making my goal in school. My goal is not to get like 95% in everything. My goal instead is to learn a good work ethic and learn how to speak better, learn how to become a better friend. But then if you look at my friend's goals, hers are probably going to be to get good grades. Before you go into the school year, know your goals. And don't just say that you want these super high marks just for the sake of it. Have a reason behind it. And if you don't know what you want to do yet, don't worry about it. This isn't me telling you have to know what your life is going to look like. Proverbs 16:9 says we can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. So even though I've made my 5-year plan, it's probably not going to go exactly how I think it is. And I'm so open for God to change it. And if you don't know anything about what you even want to do in the next year, don't worry about it. God's got you. The next tip is to do your best and let God do the rest. So this year, we are not doing all-nighters. You might be thinking, that's my best. Doing an all-nighter, terrible idea. You're gonna have such a foggy mind for this test or the presentation or whatever it is you're gonna be doing. Don't pull your all-nighters. Instead, plan ahead so that you don't have to be doing that. Instead, try your best with the time that you have. And if you still don't feel ready, go to God in prayer. This school year, I want us all to remember the story of Jesus feeding the 5,000. Everyone brought what they could, they brought their best, and Jesus was able to multiply it so that over 5,000 people were fed. And he's going to do the same thing in our lives. If this test or this presentation or this assignment is really that important, as long as you're trying your best and giving it to God in faith, he's going to do the rest. He's going to do all you need. Last tip in our academic section is to trust in God's plan. Sometimes it feels like the end of the world if you get a bad mark on a paper or a test or assignment. When he created you, he knew that this was gonna happen. And it might not be ideal, but God is still gonna be able to work with you. It's not the end of the world if you get a bad mark or you get a lot of bad marks or you're just struggling mentally. God's got you. Trust in his plan because he's there for you and he wants to help you through it. Now we're done with level 1 and we're going to be moving on to level 2, Christian Girl Talk.
Hi, I'm Allie and I'm going into freshman year.
Let's go. How are you feeling about going in your first year of high school?
I'm pretty nervous, but I'm very excited for the opportunities that are coming. I get to go into junior varsity and I get to go on the high school impact trip to Mexico.
This girl sounds busy. How does she keep a balanced life? I know it feels impossible for so many of us to be able to balance school, relationship with God, friends, sports, everything going on in life. And Allie actually has a cool story.
Last year, I had such a lack of balance and I was so stressed out. I had volleyball, I had dance, and on top of that, I had school. I felt like I couldn't have a relationship with God. But this summer, I prayed to God. I asked him, how can I get closer to you? How can I dial it down so I feel less stressed? I can deal with everything. I got told to do one sport and of course school, because school.
You kind of got to do it.
Yep. Now I have more time with him.
I know so many of you guys are commenting, Jayla, what do I do if I'm just too busy to read my Bible? What do I do if I'm too busy to pray? And what I say to that is use the audio Bible. That's going to help you keep a really balanced life. On the YouVersion app, it can play every single chapter in the audio version. So while you're brushing your teeth, just listen to that chapter because you should be brushing your teeth for 3 minutes a day anyway.
Win-win.
Tip number 7 is to treat boys like real people.
It is so strange. In my grade, the guys and girls do not talk. They won't make eye contact, they won't talk to them, and if they talk about them, it's negative. They're humans too. They have flaws, they have imperfections. Just go ahead and talk to them. When people have a crush, they like the idea of him more than the person himself. I had this experience. I was walking in the hallway. I made eye contact with the guy. Ooh. I was so excited. I was thinking about it at night, thinking of cute little scenarios. But then it hit me. That's not reality. That is not what it's actually like.
Mm-hmm. We don't know who they actually are. We just know that, oh my gosh, his hair is really nice. Bring positivity to groups with toxic people. It only takes one person to bring down a whole group, but we also don't talk about how it only takes one person to lift up a whole group.
You have to find the positivity and go with it. There was this one time I was with my friends and they were making fun of this guy's shoes. They were saying how the hot pink makes it look ugly, but then I said, you know what? I think it looks cool. I would wear those myself. And that just changed lots of their mindsets.
And that's a more mature way of going about it than if you're like, guys, stop gossiping. That's a terrible thing to do. Because now all of your friends find you annoying and they think that you're better than they are. What Allie did, it just brings in a different perspective and a different kind of positivity. It's like, actually, I don't think there's anything wrong with those shoes.
Another thing that you can do, you can look around the friend group, see who does not like this conversation. Just go up to them and start talking about something positive, a different topic.
Tip number 9 is to not idolize grades, status, guys, and sports. For a lot of my life, I've idolized grades, and I thought that I have to get as close to 100% as possible, and whatever number I get on my test scores or my essays, whatever it would be, that was what I was worth as a person. So I was using that as my idol. I was using it instead of God to measure how good I was. But God doesn't actually tell us to be perfect. He tells us to work hard and have a good work ethic. So when I actually started finding my identity in God, it made it a lot easier. And that's something I'm still struggling with finding my identity in grades instead of in God. But that's something that I'm going to be working really hard to get rid of this school year.
I have struggled with popularity, thinking about what others think about me. There was this one time my friends were making fun of jorts. And I think jorts are pretty good. But that weekend before I bought jorts, I was going to wear them to school, but then I felt like, what would people think about me? A few days later, I wore my jorts because I thought, you know what? I don't care what people think about me. I'm going to rock those jorts.
High five on that. That would be scary to do.
I walked into school. I got some looks from my friends, but I changed a lot of their minds. A lot of them said, you know what? I think jorts are pretty cool. I might buy them myself.
This leads us into tip number 10, which is don't let others change who you are.
That kind of goes with what I was sharing before. I think everybody is beautifully unique. All the differences make the world beautiful.
1 Corinthians 12:18 says, our bodies have many parts, and God has put each part just where he wants it. And that's the same with who we are as people. Our bodies, every single part is incredibly unique. But imagine your ears just decided, oh my gosh, I really like the feet. The feet are so cool, but I'm so unique and I'm so different, but I'm not as cool as the feet and I want to fit in with the feet. So your ears turn into feet. That's stupid. But that's what we try to do all the time to ourselves. We try to think, oh, those people over there are so much cooler than me, so much better than me, so let me turn into them. But we're missing that me, you guys, we're all so unique. We're all so special. God has created us the way we are for a reason. So we shouldn't be changing ourselves to fit in with other people. We smashed level 2. Now let's get on to talking about friends and sharing our faith. Yeah, again. First tip in level 3 is to not get trapped with your old friends if you're not having fun. Especially if you're jumping from middle school to high school, there's probably going to be so many more people at the high school. It's easy to feel intimidated by the amount of people and just wanting to hang out with who you already know. If you're not having fun, just hang out with somebody else. Have fun while you're at school. That leads us into tip number 12, which is to be social with everyone. John 15:12 says, "This is my commandment, love each other in the same way I loved you." When I think of how Jesus would act in a high school setting, I think he's just saying hi to everyone he's sitting next to. I think that he's making conversations. He's trying to make everyone feel heard and loved in whatever space they're currently in going into their day. That's something that I've been working on to do better in high school as well, is just if somebody's sitting next to me, I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to try to figure out something about them. What do they enjoy doing? What are they good at? Use conversation starters to share your faith. I'm always thinking, why can't people ask me about my faith? And it's kind of scary to just start sharing because you don't want people thinking that you're just forcing a relationship with Jesus on them, and you don't want people to think that you're just super religious and just trying to get a conversion, because that's not what it's about. When I use a conversation starter, then other people have the chance to ask me about my faith, and I know when the conversation is welcome. So an example of those could be like bracelets. You could use those WWJD bracelets to get some questions, or I have this bracelet I got from my baptism, and it says believe on it. It has a little cross and an angel wing, so people will ask me, hey, I like your bracelet, where do you get it from? And I'm able to share about my baptism, and they often ask more questions about that. It's a great way to share my faith. You could also share your faith through clothing. I've also had Bible verses on my phone wallpaper, which gets people talking. The biggest conversation starter that I've actually used is my Bible. Last year I started reading my Bible at school if I finished an assignment early or if I was fasting, and it wasn't out of this place of trying to be showy. I didn't even think that people would notice that I was reading my Bible, but the amount of people from all religions, like Hindu, Muslims, there were some Christians who didn't really ever read the Bible before, or atheists who would ask to read my Bible or touch my Bible or hold my Bible. It was crazy. So it's an amazing conversation starter that really gets people talking. Tip number 14 is don't neglect your prayer life. 1 John 5:14 says, "And we are confident that he hears us whenever we ask for anything that pleases him. And since we know he hears us when we make our requests, we also know he will give us what we ask for." I've seen prayer just make crazy changes in my life. I've prayed for calmness before a test or a presentation. I've even prayed for my YouTube channel, and I see all those requests come into fruition if it is in God's will. Don't neglect your own personal prayer life. It's going to be a game changer if you go into the school year with a strong relationship with God and a strong prayer life, because then your roots are really in God and you're not going to be shaken by anything. Also have other people pray for you too, because there's power in numbers. Tip 15 is to be a blessing. When you go into the school day thinking about the ways that you can serve others rather than the way that others can serve you or you can serve yourself, you feel such a greater sense of accomplishment at the end of the day because you really did something. You were able to change somebody's day. Some ways that you could do this is sit by somebody who you think might be lonely at school. You could bring an extra coffee for a friend or teacher if you're picking one up before school. You could focus on giving encouraging words to everyone. 15 tips was a lot, so if you made it through, you're a real one. If you have any other school advice, I would love to see it in the comments below. I'm going back to school in a week, so I'm going to need as much advice as I can get. If you want another Christian girl video, check out this video here where me and my Muslim bestie shop Modest together.